Find a comfortable seat, or you can lay down for our intro of class, but something that feels comfortable for you. And when you're ready, we'll draw our eyes closed. So find your comfy seat, gently draw the eyes closed, and then we'll get started. And let's take a couple of moments to allow ourselves to simply arrive for our practice today. Maybe you take a couple big cleansing breaths. Just allow yourself to arrive here and now. Gently allow your mind to begin to settle, to just feel into the space around you, to feel into your body, to simply be. And as you're here, allowing yourself to arrive, I will bring into our awareness our theme or thought for practice for the week, whatever you want to look at it as. Today, I'd like to reflect upon something that has come into my life recently, and I would like to share with you, hoping that maybe you can take something away from it as well. My husband and I, we go through a little book every night, and it's for couples and marriage and developing together, and it just has a little passage. Every evening we'll read it together. And yesterday's passage and the day before is actually focusing on our flaws. And sometimes that can be hard to go through. And yesterday's in particular had this question that not only applied to my life, but really kind of hit home for meditation and yoga and all the stuff we work on together. And the question was looking at perspectives. So in short, the question asked, do you consider yourself to be detail-oriented, but do others consider you to be anxious or worry-prone? So I'll repeat that. Do you consider yourself to be detail-oriented? Do others consider you to be anxious or worry-prone? So to me, that question kind of made me get a little defensive because my husband answered yes for me in some areas of life. And to me, I really see myself as a detail-oriented person, but I do know that in some areas of life, I worry more than others. So I'd like to pose the same question to you. Are there areas in your life where you maybe think you are being just detail-oriented, doing your due diligence, but maybe from an outside looking in, a person may consider you anxious about that area of life or prone to worry about that area of life? And though we can reflect on this on ourselves after practice or when you talk to somebody who you truly value their opinion and know that they'll give you a heartfelt answer, maybe you ask somebody that question. Because sometimes in life, as I realized last night, and when we talk to other people about ourselves, we realize that we all have our own blind spots. Do you have any blind spots maybe that you can even bring to your awareness right now? Areas that you think that, I'm doing all right, but maybe outside looking in, someone would be like, she's worried too much about this, or he's worried too much about that. So what was interesting to me is when I did a separate reading this morning, the same topic came up. So I'm like, this is probably something I should look at in my life. But it was interesting because I was like, okay, this is something I have to work on. How do I work on worrying about this area of life, or just in general, how do you work on worrying? It's a state of mind, yes, but how do you work on it? And the remedy that came up in my reading this morning was trust. Trusting. So the idea in my reading this morning was worry is putting our minds on something and maybe thinking about it a lot, but it's the areas in our life or our minds where we have the least amount of trust or the least amount of faith in that area. So for me, that really hit home because those areas that I tend to feel anxious and worrying about are the areas that I feel like I need to have the most control over. So I call it being detail-oriented, but I have the least amount of faith in. So if you think about your life, what are maybe the areas that tend to kind of hit a chord with you? Is it like finances? Is it your future? Is it your children? Where do you feel like you need to have as much control as possible and it's hard for you to let go of the reins on? That's considered worry. To me, I have found in my life that trust and faith are skills that we need to develop rather than being an inherent ability. I got the visual as I was going through this as going up a roller coaster, like up, 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 up. You kind of feel in control when you're going up because the mechanism is pulling you up, pulling you up, pulling you up. But having faith and trust is once you hit the top and it's almost a free fall straight down. But in my mind, I was like, yeah, but you don't talk about the roller coaster afterwards as the going up part. You talk about the fun when you let go and you just go. That's where everybody starts screams and laughing, and that's the fun part. So just wanted to share that with you, and maybe it's something you reflect upon. Even after practice, maybe you start to become aware of where your mind lies. Do you tend to think about the future a lot? That's me. Do you tend to mull in the past a lot? Thinking about the future is a form of worrying. We're thinking about all the possible scenarios of ways things can work out. How can we let go, free fall, and trust? How can we not obsess over certain areas in our lives and let go and have faith that things will work out? I have found that just in my brief amount of time of exploring this so far, coming up with the phrase, I trust, and then fill in the blank. I trust that things will work out. I trust XYZ, or I trust that everything happens for a reason. Whatever it is to kind of overcome worry is a great place to start. So I like to take a moment before we dive into our meditation to maybe digest that, to reflect on how that applies to your life, the areas that you worry about, how you can trust in order to overcome worry in those areas. And take a couple of big breaths. When you're ready, we'll switch gears. So allow all your thinking and contemplating on that area to gently come to a close. You can always come back to it after practice, but we'll make our way to our meditation technique. So find your cozy seat, legs crossed if they're not, if that feels okay on the knees. Hands rest gently on the thighs, the upper legs. And once you're ready to begin, once you're done contemplating our theme for today or the week, gently peel the eyes open and find somewhere to look on the ground about 3 to 6 feet ahead of you. And I will start our timer. For the next couple of moments that we are meditating, we're trusting that everything is as it should be, that we are exactly where we need to be right now, and that everything else in the world is taking care of itself and is A-OK. So allow yourself to surrender, to truly be in your body here and now. Gently bring your awareness all the way to your legs. Allow them to fall heavy towards the ground beneath you. Allow the hips, the sits bones to sink down towards the earth, getting heavy and weighted. And from this grounded base, begin to grow up through the spine so every vertebra stacks one on top of another until you're seated nice and tall. Back body is strong as the shoulder blades rest down the back body, relaxing and creating space around the neck and ears. Allow the arms, the elbows to just kind of hang in space by your sides. The hands rest effortlessly on the legs. Though our back is strong, our chest, our heart center is open. So relax the chest, soften your belly, and begin to lift through the neck as well. So the back of the neck lifts up along with the front and the sides. Chin's parallel with the ground as the crown of the head reaches up towards the ceiling. Relax your facial expression. So soften your forehead. Relax the eyebrows and the eyes. Just allowing the visual field to enter through the eyes. So rather than staring at one point in particular, soften your gaze. Just allow your eyes to take in everything ahead of you. Soften the cheeks and the jaw. Relax the lips, the teeth, and float the tongue down away from the roof of your mouth. Soften your ears. Begin to connect with the feeling of your breath in your body. Notice every inhale and exhale as you breathe in and out. Maybe you feel the whisper of air along the upper lip line as you breathe. Maybe you feel it in the nostrils, possibly even along the back of the throat, the chest, or the rib cage and belly. Maybe you notice multiple areas as you breathe in and out. Maybe you just feel one. Maybe it changes with different breaths, but allow yourself to simply feel and be in your body. As you're here with your breath, the only task at hand is to feel the breath in your body. But naturally, the mind will begin to think, and that's okay. We're not here to stop thought. We're here to simply be with ourselves as we are. So when your mind begins to think, one of two things will happen. One of which is that the mind will think, but you will be able to stay focused on the breath. You will feel every inhale and exhale, though there will be murmurs of thoughts in the background. We're just going to let that be. The second of which is the thoughts will take you away from the task at hand. You will forget about thinking or about feeling the breath, and you will begin to think. And that is okay as well. Thinking can be numerous things. It can be to-do lists, things in the future, the past. It can be thoughts of what's going on around you or within you. But no matter what, the task at hand is to label it thinking and simply come back to feeling the breath. There's no right or wrong, good or bad. We're simply being with ourselves as we are, being present, becoming aware. Feel the full extent of your inhales and exhales, using that as your device to notice when the mind takes you away. Take the next couple of moments to practice this technique, and more than anything, be compassionate to yourself. This is a practice, not a perfect. So practice the technique. Gently draw your practice to a close. Maybe move the body a bit, or just draw the eyes closed, find what feels good. We'll eventually meet up with the eyes closed and palms touching at heart center. Take a couple of moments to consciously observe how you feel right now. Draw your awareness to your mind. Notice how it feels. What word describes the state of your mind right now? Gently become aware of your body. Notice how it feels. What's the first word that comes to you to describe the state of your body? And eventually tune in to your emotional well-being. Notice the emotion that you feel right now. What emotion do you feel? Just notice, become aware, and let it be. You're perfectly fine just as you are. And gently give yourself a smile and truly, truly thank yourself for showing up here today, for dedicating your time to your health, your life, and your practice. And thank you so very much for sharing your beautiful energy and practice with me here today. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.